Dark Troopers were Moff Gideon's and the Imperial Remnant's secret weapon, the third generation of the Dark Trooper program, a 4th class battle droid, incredibly smart, incredibly strong, and almost impervious to most conventional weapons. Now, these were a prized item by Gideon and the Remnants. However, could they have been far more useful than maybe we believe? What if the Dark Trooper program was developed more during the Galactic Civil War itself, during the Empire's height of power? And would this have changed the outcome of the war? Now, it is important to note that the Dark Trooper program was active during the Galactic Civil War and the reign of the Empire. However, the project was originally the use of mechanical suits for Imperial pilots to use before scientists decided that the human element was the greatest weakness, and it had to be replaced with droids. So, for this theory, we want to say that the Imperials put more assets into the Dark Trooper program. Maybe they decide that rebuilding their super battle station right after the completion and destruction of the first one is a bad idea. And maybe they should choose to use some of their funding elsewhere. Crazy idea, I know. So, the Dark Trooper program gets to the stage where they have the Phase 3 ones that we see in The Mandalorian by, say, the time of Empire Strikes Back. Now, this is a very achievable goal at the end of the day. We need to remember, at this point, the Empire has such a massive military budget that they can literally almost do whatever they want. So, what does this mean for the galaxy? Well, I don't want to say that the mass production and application of Dark Troopers would straight up win the war for the Empire, as that's a bit of a stretch and greatly underestimates the Empire's ability to screw something up. As I've said, majority of the reasons the Empire loses things is because of their own mistakes. However, the droids do introduce a new type of weapon that the Rebellion just doesn't have anything to counter. It's an adaptable heavy infantry, capable of not only flight and operating during the vacuum of space, but also acting as some sort of a tank on land. They're not particularly huge, nor cumbersome, and there really is almost no real obvious downside to these droids, aside from the fact that they're droids. We also need to consider the fact that the droids that we see in The Mandalorian were made on a very strict budget with very limited resources. We know that Gideon couldn't even keep them powered up all of the time. But imagine if the Empire in its glory days had these droids. We have to imagine that they would be far more advanced. Better power efficiency, heavier weapons attached to them, such as rocket launchers or grenade launchers, energy shielding. We're talking about a full-on Iron Man experience. And this is something that I honestly don't believe that the Rebellion could defeat. Anywhere the rebels tried to fight the Empire, these droids could quickly be deployed from a nearby ship. Remember, they're very fast. They can fly. Most rebel groups don't have the weapons required to combat them either. There's what, a dozen or so lightsaber users in the galaxy at this point, and most of them work for the Empire? Not many people have Beskar weapons either, and generally speaking, even the heaviest ordnance that a group of rebels have, which is, for example, probably a rocket launcher, is just not really going to do a lot of damage to these droids, especially not if they're upgraded. I mean, imagine if they go a step further and these droids begin to replace TIE fighters and standard infantry units. The Battle of Endor, for example. These droids would simply be able to board enemy ships and rip them apart from the inside out. There's no way the rebel fleet could shoot all of them down in time either. Ultimately, I really do believe that if the Empire invested in a higher quality droid, such as the Dark Trooper Mark III, then they could have won the war. However, it would never have happened. We know that the Empire and the people of the galaxy in general didn't like droids. They didn't trust something that could be so easily manipulated. Also, the funding required to actually do this is insane. You would require thousands and thousands of these droids, and that would cost a fortune. I mean, I have no doubt whatsoever that the Empire was capable of affording it. However, this would mean a complete overhaul of their entire stratagem. They couldn't fund a project like this whilst also funding the Death Star Mark II, as well as making a constant supply of new Star Destroyers. The entire galaxy couldn't afford that. Essentially, for the Empire to win, as we've said before, they would need to be following a stratagem similar to the one that Thrawn envisioned, not the one that served Sidious. One that focused more on high-quality, adaptable soldiers and weapons, as opposed to just sheer numbers and brute force. But what do you guys think of these droids? Could they be the key to winning the war? And what sort of upgrades do you think that the Imperial scientists would have put on them? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you for watching. I really do hope you enjoyed this video. If so, please remember to like, share and sub, as it is really appreciated and it helps the channel grow. Also, don't forget to follow me on Twitter at @TheLoreGuy and tick the bell to get regular updates. But most importantly, thank you so much for watching. I do hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope you're all having a great day, and I'll see you next time.